Hey guys, it's Alex with TDM Cigars, bringing you another episode of So You Want to Be Into the Cigar Industry. In this series, as I explained in my last video, basically what we go over are all the pitfalls of actually starting in the cigar industry. I want to dispel a couple of things. I'm not here to glorify it. I'm not here to make it seem to be all powerful and all knowing, but I'm going to give you the examples of some of the things that I went through. So hang on, buckle your seatbelt. It's going to be a little bit of a ride. This episode's been brought to you by TDM Cigars, where legacy is earned one cigar at a time. So you want to be into the cigar industry. What part of the cigar industry are you looking into? Are you looking into being part of the aspect, the manufacturing aspect? You want to be a grower, that kind of a thing. So you're going to have to really figure that out. So once you think about where you want to be, you want to think about how to get there, and that's going to be very, very difficult. Now, I've been in EMS for approximately 25 years. I've also been in the cigar industry, working in various shops. My family actually grows tobacco, so I know a little bit of the background before I even got into this, but I didn't know everything. I didn't know the business, and I had to learn that the hard way. There is no roadmap. There was a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of things that I wish I had known ahead of time that I could have been prepared for. So, and this is me giving you the roadmap that I wish somebody gave to me before I spent a lot of the real money. I lost sleep. I banged my head against the wall. There's bad tech, bad timing. There's a lot of issues that transpired through this whole venture. A couple of things is this is not a motivational series, all right? This is a reality check. This is a gut check. This is from somebody that's still in the fight. I'm still in the fledgling aspect of the industry, meaning I've only been incorporated for about the last 3 years. I haven't really made much money. I haven't even recouped everything that I have invested in. There's a lot to this that is still going. Okay, so let's get one thing out of the way. This business is really not for the faint of heart. So if you're thinking about, all right, well, my main reason is I'm going to retire. I want a place to hang out with my buddies, smoke cigars. Listen, opening a cigar shop is not for you. That's going to be a lounge with overhead. Okay, if you're in it because you love the history, the culture, the craft, and you're willing to treat this like a real business, this is the place for you. If you watch a lot of cigar podcasts like I do, I listen to the Cigar Authority and the Ashholes and a couple other places. Now, David Garofalo of Two Guys, he spoke several times on, hey, if you're going to be in the cigar industry, this is really not it for you. And here's why. And he cuts it down on a lot of the nitty gritty that we really don't talk about. Now, he's been in the business for over 40 years at this point. So he's going to give a completely different perspective. He opened his doors at 1985. So it's going to be a lot of different changes from when he started versus me right now as I'm starting here. So here's a couple of things that you need to keep in mind. You got to respect the culture, right? You got to respect the work behind the actual cigars. So you want to serve customers. Remember, your customers are the reason why you're going to be coming into work every day. It's not about you. Okay, if you're like, well, I don't want to carry these cigars because I don't like them, well, it's not about you. All right, if you're gonna buy cigars for yourself, listen, go online, go to a brick and mortar, just buy yourself cigars. Don't open up a cigar shop. All right, you have to be willing to do things that aren't fun. You're talking about paperwork, taxes, compliance, technology, logistics. It's gonna hit you really, really hard. Okay, now, yes, you need to love cigars, okay? But you also need to love the work that comes behind the cigar. So I'm lucky because I prepare for a lot of things. Again, being in EMS, I get the opportunity to kind of prepare what I'm going to take care of a patient or what I'm expecting to see, and I give myself little pivot points. So again, not every patient reads the textbook, right? So sometimes you're going to have little changes. All right, this medication works for this patient, but it didn't work for that one. Again, that's a pivot point. So if you don't love that work, right, that prep work, this industry is just going to completely chew you up. All right, so here's a couple of questions. Right, before you buy a single box as a business, you got to ask yourself a couple questions. Can you handle being in a restricted category? Well, what do you mean? So Cigars and tobacco products are a federally regulated product. They are taxed and regulated and taxed and regulated. It's the whole, taxation without representation. This is one of those products that you're going to get hit the most, all right? From they come out from other countries. They're going to come in here, so they got a excise tax. Plus, they have these new tariffs, and then you're going to have to deal with the state excise tax, okay, and then you're going to deal with sales tax and all that kind of stuff. And this is, again, it's a generality depending on what state that you're actually in. So you can't do normal ads, all right? You can't advertise on TV. You're probably going to have to advertise on like newspaper or magazines and that kind of a stuff, and it's going to get very, very expensive. Forget Facebook, forget Instagram. It's going to be an uphill battle in order for you to actually advertise. All right, if you're like me doing a YouTube channel, there's a possibility that my YouTube channel can get blacklisted because it is about tobacco products. Payment processors, listen, I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to get a process payment, especially if you're thinking about doing an online business. These people don't want you to process their payments. There's a lot of fraud in high risk environments. So you're going to have to go through this whole rigmarole of you got to get a payment purveyor. Then you're going to have to pay a registration fee for Visa and MasterCard. Forget about PayPal, forget about Venmo, forget about all that stuff. They're not going to want to process your stuff. Age gating, you 21 and older. All right, so just like the alcohol industry, anything 21 ages or over, there's a lot of shipping rules. Okay, like UPS, you have to ship with an adult signature. USPS, you can ship domestically, but you can't ship internationally. You can't ship to APOs and that kind of a deal, right? And again, platform rules. Again, we're on YouTube right now. I put a lot of my stuff on Facebook and all that kind of stuff, and I have to monitor certain keywords because the Meta AI actually flags a lot of the things that I say. So can you live with regulations and taxes on your business? Listen, again, tobacco taxing and reporting. I live in New Jersey, so I have to deal with a 30% tobacco tax. So that means whatever I pay for wholesale, I now not only have to add on what my operating costs and what my profit margins would be, but I also have to compensate for a 30% tobacco tax. Unfortunately, you guys as the consumer wind up paying that. And that's everywhere you go. Again, depending on, imagine living in New York. They're 75% right now, okay? So you got to do a license at the state level. So they have to know who you are, what you're doing, and all that kind of stuff. And listen, don't play dumb, right? Because mistakes are expensive. They will come after you, especially if they know you're hiding things, all right? Now, talking about tech and vendor failures. Now, again, we just went through a 8-month-long process of moving from my Wix platform, which is what my original website is on, to WordPress. And it's a vastly different completely different platform, and it costs money. All right, I'm not a web developer, I'm not a coder or anything like that, so I had to contract out for somebody else to do that. Right now, gateway payment failures, website crashes, every single time something like that happens, that costs you money. I'm lucky I don't have a brick and mortar right now. What I am is a mobile cigar store where you call me, you contract me, and then I go wherever you need me to go. I also have the website, which will be up hopefully within the next few weeks. All right, we're running on the processes. And listen, if a broken gateway or website puts you out emotionally, that's going to be a problem. You're going to have to suck it up, Buttercup. All right, now I'm going to tell you, you're going to have business plans, all right? A 3-year, a 5-year, a 10-year plan, all with pivot points. What are you going to do if something completely goes wrong? I haven't even talked about the actual inventory. If you open up a brick and mortar, you have several ways of actually bringing inventory into your store. You have a distributor, you have a broker, or you can go directly to the manufacturer. There are going to be rules to everything that you do. All right. If you go directly to the manufacturer, it may be less expensive, but you're going to pay that at the end. And here's why. Their rules is, well, you're going to have X amount of SKUs, this amount of foot space, this is what I want you to do, this is where I want you to be, and that's where that's going to come from, right? And that's where your money's going to bleed out. If the little things that I've told you so far isn't enough to scare you, hang on, because it gets definitely way worse, all right? Again, there's no roadmap. There's no way of actually telling how you go about it. There's no easy way. There's no book. I mean, there's little guides that kind of give you the ideas of, all right, here's where I'm going. Here's what I want to do. But I'm going to tell you, this is work. This is not a retirement. Right? Again, if you worked in some type of tech industry or whatever and aren't used to like a lot of hands-on and physical work, managing and opening a cigar shop, especially in an area that has never had one before, and you don't know what the foot traffic is, I mean, it's gonna change some things. All right. I mean, I've seen it. The retired guy, he opens up a cigar store. He has a place to smoke. He's got to cool some stories. But again, not every town is going to want a cigar shop in their town. There's local ordinances, right? There's overhead. You're talking about rent, electricity, insurance, stock. If you're going to do it all by yourself, now you're going to be open 7 days a week. That's not retirement. You're going to be working every single day. All right. You can't treat this like a toy. All right, because if you treat it like that, you're basically treating your money like a toy. All right. So here's the deal. Think about what you're actually going to do. Formulate a plan, and realize that this is going to cost money. All right. It's a real business. You have to buy smart. You have to manage your risk, and you have to take care of your customers while still being compliant. All right, and then you have to live long enough for it to matter. All right, there it is. All right, you can't fake respecting the business because it's going to expose you. It's this is not a good old boys club. This is not a place to hang. This is an actual business. Why am I getting into the business? Because it is a passion. I am a cigar nerd. I have been smoking cigars for 27 years, and I love every minute of it. Now, what this series is supposed to do is it's giving you an idea and a roadmap to kind of to avoid some pitfalls. Some of the things that actually kind of hit me in the face. Now, before you even spend a dollar, you need to do a lot of the research and figure out exactly how much this is going to cost. All right. Are you going to get a 100% accurate number? No, it's not going to be accurate whatsoever, but you're going to have an idea of what you're going to spend. I've heard tale of people starting brand new brick and mortar with a lounge, minimum of $250,000 to $300,000, depending on where you're at. So that's not including licenses, taxes, and whether or not, again, you can do this where you live. You might actually have to travel to a completely different town, even a completely different county, depending on what the local rules are. Right now, you have to think about which way do I want to get into the industry. Do I want to shop? Do I want online? Do I want a brand, a factory? Do I want to do a hybrid? These are the things that you're going to have to think about, right? Now, you have to talk about what your day-to-day is going to be, right? It's not just about all the glorification that you see on Instagram, right? You see these people in three-piece suits lighting cigars under the sea and all this fancy stuff, and you're living in the lap of luxury. No, you just had a customer that had a medical emergency or gastric emergency in your bathroom, and you're mopping it all up because you're the owner. That's exactly what you do. All right. So what's your long-term path? Well, listen, I'm going to tell you mine. I want to master everything from seed to retail. That is my goal. All right. I'm lucky that I have a little bit of experience in a lot of different venues, so I can start that learning process. But again, there's no roadmap. So I'm taking every hit with everything that I learned. I wanted to learn how cigars were made, so I learned how to roll cigars. I wanted to learn, well, where do these flavors come from? So I started to learn how to blend. I wanted to see, all right, well, I want to start my own business. Well, how did I do that? Well, I did a lot of research. And even with an entire year worth of research, I was still caught completely blind. All right. So these are things that you really, really need to go out and research. I want more people in the cigar industry. Okay. I want people, the bigger the table, right? And we all work together because rising tides raises all ships. And I love that. Okay. So if you're serious about this and if you respect cigars and the people and the work behind them, stick around. All right. Just make sure you subscribe, you like, you share. Don't miss any of the next parts because, and more importantly, you're going to have to grab some notebooks and start taking notes. You really want to take this, as the beginning to your own roadmap, because I'm going to give you a lot of the stuff that kind of caught me by surprise so it doesn't catch you. All right. If you have any questions, make sure you drop your questions down. Let me know where you're at, what you're thinking about a shop, whether it's an online store, brand, or factory, and I'll try to hit those points sometime in the future. Okay, so if you guys want to go ahead and again like, follow, subscribe, share, make this channel a big deal. That way we can go ahead and get a lot of this information out so we can all be educated. And if you don't decide to open up your cigar shop, this will give you a little bit of more of an appreciation of to what your local brick and mortar actually goes through. My name's Alex. I'm the owner and operator of TDM Cigars. Thank you for following. Thank you for listening. And I'll catch you in the next time.